my name is Lisa Rodriguez Baylis with Liberty University discussing interpersonal communication. Some of the items that we will be covering today are overachieving goals, empathetic and dialogic listening, enlarging the conversation, background, behavioral blend, influence on the conversation, barriers and solutions, internal and external noise, and finally an action plan. Let's define interpersonal. Interpersonal labels the kind of communication that happens when people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Interpersonal communication happens best when it takes place between two people. It builds a level of trust. My overachieving goal is to become an effective listener, empathetic and dialogic. Listening, making an effort to hear what the other person is saying, to become transparent in the most humble way possible, and to avoid interrupting the speaker and solving their problems. Becoming a more compassionate speaker is something that I've been wanting to do because there are times when I do become interruptive at times. Be more sensitive to the speaker's feelings and be present. James 1:19 says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Enlarging my conversation, identity or self is defined as a constellation of features or labels that establish social expectations that we have of ourselves and others. So one of the things that I am looking to do when enlarging my vision is to understand that it's okay to not be the first person to speak in a conversation, to understand that silence is golden. And not to overthink things when having a conversation with those in leadership. Become more comfortable when speaking to those in leadership, and become more confident when speaking to those in leadership and contributing. So my background is that I'm a first generation Puerto Rican woman born in the United States, raised by my father. I am married. I have two beautiful daughters. I currently work for a community college in inner city Cleveland, Ohio, working with barriered youth who are between the ages of 18 and 24. I fervently seek God in all that I set out to do. So discussing the behavioral blend that I have in the DISC behavioral blend, the D is for dominance, I for influence, S is for steadiness, C is for conscientiousness. I scored highest in DI. So my behaviors for D is that I see the big picture. I can be blunt. I accept challenges and I get straight to the point. Behaviors for I is that I show enthusiasm. I'm a very optimistic person and I like to collaborate and I dislike being ignored. So moving on to influence on my conversation, there's positive and negatives as we have experienced in anything, and that is the same with the influences on my conversation. So some of the positive influences on my conversation are my leadership ability. I've frequently become the leader in many projects. I'm very passionate and determined with everything that I set out to do. I'm relentless and I do not allow others to give up. Some negative influences are that I do interject frequently, a little more than I'd like to, but I'm working on that. I tend to be a problem solver as opposed to empowering the other person or the other people to come up with their own solutions. I'm quick to answer and slow to speak, the opposite of what James 1:19 tells us. At times I can be a people pleaser, and also I'm afraid of not being accepted and afraid of being wrong. So those are things that influence my conversation that I'm working on. Some potential barriers are fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being wrong. Sometimes people hide their reactions from others through fear of rejection, fear of potential or ongoing conflict, or feelings of shame or guilt. Past disappointments, mistreatment, and negative thought patterns are some of the things that can contribute to these types of thoughts. So moving on to some solutions. I do and have been working on building my confidence. I am working on how to repeat with clarity so that it's natural when it's coming from me. Right now it's more of a an effort that I am making to do so, and it feels awkward because it's the first time that I'm doing something like that, but it is something that I am intentionally trying to do. And another thing is not offering solutions. Definitely something that I want to ensure that I'm giving others the opportunity to speak and provide their own resolutions on their some of their situations. Create a new self-identity through positive thought process. And become a better listener. Level 2, communicating goes deeper than words. It moves us towards more satisfying relationships, and that is definitely a goal of mine. Noise pollution. Internal is whenever your mind begins to wander away from specific task at hand. It becomes to succumb to the spell of internal noise. Unlike audible, internal noise exists solely within each person's mind. And external noise is defined as a type of noise which is generally externally due to atmosphere. It can be the sounds of cars, trains, lawnmowers, kids, dogs, those types of things. And it's eliminating those things, trying to find the most convenient and the best place to hold communication or conversations with others. So some of those solutions to internal noise would be to concentrate on the speaker, become more engaged and connected, focus and speak clearly, pray fervently. It's so important to really pray to hear God's heart and to speak using God's words. And using the talker-listener card, that's another great source to help guide you through a conversation. Some external noise solutions would, again, be to concentrate, but to eliminate those distractions. Closing doors, finding the most quiet place that you can to speak, and just choosing those types of areas. And finally, an action plan is that I'm going to be intentional with all that I set out to do. Commit. Pray for wisdom, discernment, and courage. And be myself and not what I think others want to see. That's just so important. Peterson says, when someone tries to hand me their responsibility or I try to grab it from them, I consciously give it back by saying something like, this is really a tough problem you have. It looks as though you've been struggling a lot for a long time with this situation, and I do not have the answer. So again, thank you. My name is Lisa Rodriguez Baylis with Liberty University.